Hello, hello, Edson Oliveira here. This is the DNN monthly chat. This is the August edition, and I have some guests here. I have the usual suspects, Scott, and I don't have Joe. Joe is adventuring. It seems that towards Canada, towards the east coast of Canada. So, Joe, I hope that you are having a good time wherever you are. So, yes, that's the DNN monthly chat, and here it's an uncensored, conversation about DNN. We show the skeletons in the DNN closet. See, I'm going to a darker intro, Scott.
This is uncensored? I didn't know that.
Yes, it is. It is, and we bring again the skeletons out of the closet. And I'm gonna mention one of those skeletons right now that I just came across a few days ago. I'm gonna call out Will Stroh. Well, you have to rethink your makeup practices, because your makeup practices they influence, they impact your fellow DNNers. See, I'm gonna go to Facebook here. Let me open Facebook. I have a picture of Will here. And very wisely, our friend Chris Hammond says, "Do you have eyeliner on, Will?" And Will, surprisingly enough, he says, "Yes. That's what I do all the time now before leaving the house. Can't go without eyeliner anymore." Well, I have to salute you. You are a man of courage, but you have to think about your fellow DNNers, what you're doing with our reputation, But in a more serious note, what's the brand of your eyeliner? I'd like to know that. Maybe I'm gonna start doing that as well. Anyway, in a more serious note, guys.
Start shopping at Sephora now.
What is that?
Never mind. All I'm gonna say is maybe it's Maybelline.
Who knows? But again, I want to know because now I may want to adopt the practice. Guys, I want to start by saying hi to Daniel that dropped by right now, Daniel Veladas, Mark Harle. You're gonna be hearing shortly what he has to say here. He has an interesting DNN implementation and product that he wants to showcase, and we're going to be talking about that in a second. We also have online, but not showing the face, we have Bill Jones. Bill, thank you very much for being here as well.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Actually, the first thing that I want to mention is an idea that I had last week, just Wednesday last week, and it's about DNN Open Friday. And actually, I've timed this recording a little bit badly because I've timed it for 10 a.m. On a Friday, which is when Open Friday is supposed to be starting. So I'm not there. But what is Open Friday? Open Friday is just a Slack workspace that I've invited people in the DNN space and people that subscribe to DNN Hero newsletter. So Open Friday is just an initiative that I thought about of gathering people that know DNN, including myself a little bit, and people that may have questions about DNN. And this is an open, online, real-time help, support, channel on Slack where people will come in with questions and hopefully I can give a hand. Somebody else that might be there can give a hand as well. I'm not a specialist in everything under the sun about DNN, so I've invited people as well to be there collaborating. If you want to drop by, just drop by. You can go to, I'm gonna put the URL right here, but you can go to deskpal.com/open, and then you can request a sign up, and then I can just add you there to the channel and you can join. If you want to join for a few minutes, do that. If you want to join just to see what's going on there, do that as well. You know, I mean, you'll be more than welcome. I'm be trying this initiative for the next 3 Fridays. Actually, it was August 17th, 24th, 31st, and then September 7th. I'm gonna try for 4 Fridays. If I see some traction, we keep going forward. If I don't, we let it go. But I like to experiment. I like to try things, you know, new and see if someone can drive any benefit. And by all means, I mean, by the way, it's free, it's open, and there's nothing that I'm getting from there out of aside from helping my fellow, you know, DNNers out there that may have questions. So again, I invite everybody in this call, and yeah, I see already some people there, but I cannot be there and here at the same time. So again, bad time for from my side. Okay, great. And I think that you've joined there, Daniel. I saw your name there. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, a few minutes ago.
Perfect. Okay, so if you want to monitor that a little bit, and if you see anything interesting happening there, I mean, you can by all means just stop me and mention here. Okay.
Cool.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get to a few blog posts here. Let's start with the one from Mitchell Sellers about the release of DNN 921. This is not super new. This was back in August 7th, but again, we are recapping the month here. So DNN 921 was released, and it was a joint release between, you know, the community, you know, DNN Technology Advisory Group and ESW, DNN Corp. Going forward, it seems that the DNN Technology Advisory Group will be the one taking over completely on that one. And more recently, actually yesterday or the day before, the release candidate of DNN 22 came up already. And I think that this is already towards the, you know, the DNN Technology Advisory Group to take over completely. I'm not sure if it was over completely because I haven't seen any blog posts about the release candidate, but again, 922 is out there, the release candidate. You can see that on GitHub, and you can see the release notes. It's a major upgrade. It's a minor version update, and it focuses more on performance improvements, on minor improvements, on stabilization fixes. So you can definitely check there the 922 release candidate. And the idea of the release candidate is that we can download, we can give it a try, and report any particular problems that we may have seen, because very shortly after the release candidate, I think that within a week or so, then the final official 922 gets released. Okay? Great. Okay, so that's the first blog post there. The second one, I'm gonna just quickly mention here. Just wanted to welcome the MVP group that has been, you know, voted, and yeah, I just want to say thank you. I mean, I got somehow into that again. I don't know how, but Scott, great to have you there, and Daniel, welcome there to the team as well. Very good to see new faces and Canadian faces, you know, in the MVP group. Awesome. So yeah, so there's this blog post from our friend Clint Patterson mentioning the MVPs. What else? DNN as an Azure Web App. Scott, do you have any experience with DNN in Azure?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, all of our all of Bluebolt's QA stuff is we do in Azure because it makes sense for QA environments because you can spin them up and tear them down.
Got it. So is that the same setup? And again, you might not be familiar with this post from Andrew Hoffling, but Andrew put together a blog post called DNN as an Azure Web App. So
Yeah.
are those yours that you were talking about Azure Web Apps as well?
Well, what we do is we spin up whatever version of Evoke or whatever the client happens to be on as an Azure app service. I need to read his description of it, but yeah. So we run. So whenever we want to set up a staging environment or a QA environment in Azure, there's a few pieces to it. You've got to create a SQL server and a SQL Server database. Those are separate pieces in Azure. You don't just create, it's not just a virtual machine that runs all the stuff.
Got it.
So you create a visual SQL Server and a SQL database. Those are actually two different pieces in Azure. And then you create an Azure app service. And then also you create a resource group, which is just kind of an organization of ownership around that. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much, so you have the app service, which is essentially an app service is like your an IIS web application. It's equivalent to that. So you have two different things, the IIS web app application, and then you have your SQL Server database. And yeah, it all runs fine. I think there is a way, and I need to look at his article. I thought there was a way to, the DNN has a packaging where you can just tell Azure, because there are certain way prepackaged applications that you can say, Azure you could pick from Azure, say, hey, spin up this application, and you say, oh, what is it, like an Umbraco or a DNN, or so they're kind of prepackaged to spin up as a DNN or as an app service. And I can't remember if DNN at one point did have like version 8 wrapped as something you could deploy with one click. I don't know if we're keeping that up, but yeah, but we just do it manually.
Got it. So yeah, so that's the blog post from Andrew Hoffling going step by step through the process of setting up DNN as an Azure web application. So if you need that, you should definitely have a look. It's great stuff by Andrew Hoffling. Moving on here. Okay, I just want to quickly highlight here the fact that now we are having more and more translated blog posts. No, we had a few months ago. It started with Spanish, but now we have some Portuguese coming in place. Daniel, we have Alessandra Davis from TWorks. She is here and there translating a blog post. So we have one in Portuguese now for the DNN 921 release. Great job, Alessandra. Keep up the good work there. We Portuguese-speaking people appreciate that, And we have two, in a single call, we have two Portuguese-speaking. Okay. Now, a few blog posts from our own Daniel Valadas. Hey, Daniel, it's you here. Now,
Yep.
How to contribute to DNN. So this guy, Daniel Valadas, which we don't know who he is, he put together a blog post here. Actually, you know what? Let's talk to the guy. Daniel, how to contribute to DNN. I have here the blog post and I have here the playlist as well from YouTube. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, since the persona bar came out, I had a hard time I used to submit a lot of pull requests, and since the persona bar came out, I didn't know how to build it, and for a long time, I didn't get any help on that. And now that the community is more active and I got involved in a few groups and everything, I got a better contact to ask questions, and I realized that I'm really, really not the only one. A lot of people didn't know how to work with the persona bar at all. So I got help from, I think it was Oliver and someone at ESW. Anyway, we did a little 15 minutes video, private video, just to know how to work with this. And I thought I'd make a more worked video that we can share publicly. And as I got started, I realized that some people might have absolutely no clue on the tools you need and how to set up your development environment. So I made last week bits and pieces here and there, 6 videos that show you how to install the tools you need, set up your development environment, how GitHub works, the basics, and how to submit pull requests for modules, because I'm taking care of the core modules right now. So getting pull requests from other people would be very helpful. So I want to make it as easy as possible to learn what you need and how to submit a pull request for the platform and for the persona bar. So it's a video playlist on YouTube, and I put a blog post there, and I also linked it in the contribution documentations for the platform, for the persona bar, and some of the core modules. And on the next meeting, we're gonna check that the contributing document, everybody agrees with it, that template, and we're gonna copy that to all of the modules.
Awesome, awesome.
Now,
Very good.
Daniel, I have a question. So I guess there's a couple different things, and I have like, and Anderson, I think I told you I had a video, and I've recorded the first video. I haven't moved on to the rest, but it's continuing on a session that I did starting like the year before last, or whenever it first came out, on how to build a persona bar extension, right? A custom extension. So I've got that. You know, we've actually built a few at this point for that are not commercial, but that we've done for our clients, and so they're in production and they're working. So I feel like I understand how to build the extension with React, but is your blog or video set more about how to pull down and integrate all the what we used to call it the admin experience extension, like the core administrative persona bar extensions, and how to actually get that whole process working and to be able to submit pull requests? Is that more what it's tailored to, or does it also kind of teach you a little bit about how to do like your own third-party extensions?
No, it's really focused on working with what's there. If I would go into all of the details, the video would be like very long. It's already 3.5 hours, so there's still there's a lot of content just for that. Plus, I'm not super familiar, so I showed how to replicate stuff that's already there and everything, but I'm not an expert with React, so I didn't want to go into dangerous grounds and start teaching the wrong stuff, But it would certainly be a nice thing to have, how to start from scratch, not from a template, because templates are nice, but you don't learn. So starting from scratch and, here's the components you need, here's what links to what, I think would be very nice. And to speed up a template is nice, but when you start with a template, you don't understand what's happening.
There is no template at the moment for a persona bar extension, as far as I know.
There's DNN Connect. I think they made a kind of blank persona bar project that you can get and modify to your needs. And I think there was another one from DNN too, persona bar sample or something.
Yeah, it's a sample. It's not really a template, but yeah. And I have one on my GitHub. I have that restaurant menu persona bar where you could use that as a starting project. I call it a starter project, but not really. And actually, I think I have another one called PB Starter Project on my GitHub. That's what I use in training when I'm teaching. But again, it's not really a template. It's more of just a project that I got working and start from there and just use it. Yeah.
It might be nice to get together with the guys who developed YoDNN. I know there's an SPA template, there's an MVC template, maybe a persona bar extension template would be nice to add to that. And but I like to start from scratch and know how to get all the components and everything, and make that into a tutorial, because then you understand exactly why every piece is there and how they connect to each other. And then a template from that speeds up your things, but at least you know how the inner workings work.
Yeah, I need to get that DNN Hero video set done, Anderson. I should be able to do that in the next few weeks. I'm gonna try to commit to getting that because it sounds like it's a real need.
Awesome.
And thank you, Daniel, for what you did. And I'm going to go through that, in the next, before I put mine out, just to make sure I have all of your insight as well.
Yeah, and it's very focused for beginners, so you might have to skip some parts and not watch 3.5 hours.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine.
Awesome, guys. Great. Okay. Thank you very much again, Daniel, for putting, the more content. Actually, before a few months ago, I never knew too much about how to put things together on GitHub. And again, I think that's a good way to introduce someone to GitHub and how to work with the tooling around that. Very good. Okay, moving on here. EVS is now open source. This is from Ash Prasad. So EVS is a tool, I would put it this way, that was put together a few years ago by DNN Corp to validate the compliance of certain aspects for modules that were gonna be placed in the DNN store. And now EVS, which stands for Extension Verification Service, is now open source. The details have been listed down here by Ash Prasad, and if you are interested in that, if you are interested in having your module validated as well, because he also pointed out here where EVS is running from DNNSoftware.com, and you can have your extension verified. And again, now this is open source. Has any one of you guys have any insights into this tool at all?
Yeah. We have a fair amount of clients, customers that are using on-demand, and the on-demand support team requires that our extensions go through that before they'll install them on the on-demand environment. The problem with it is, and what we just noticed was, speaking of persona bar extensions, is if you put in your manifest file that you're doing a persona bar extension, and then you put that you want it to depend on obviously the core of 9.0 and above, right? That will actually fail on an EVS. And the reason it fails is simply because EVS hasn't been updated. And so that's part of the reason I think they made it open source. And I brought down that open source project, and I just did a cursory look of it. It looks to me like it runs in Azure specifically because there's a couple executable projects in there that look like they're run as Azure Web. I think it's called an Azure Web Job. So in other words, there's a little bit of a front end to it, nothing much, right? You've seen it, right? You go to EVS, it's just EVS, upload your module. That's all there is to the front end. And then an Azure Web Job will pick it up. It'll just, all you do is upload the file and queue it up for this Azure Web Job to pick it up and eventually spit out a report for you. And so I want to make a contribution to that, to make it support 9.0, because I'm sick of having to explain to the support team whenever I submit my persona bar extensions to say it's going to fail and there's 2 errors, ignore it because it's just simply EVS is not up to date. But I'm looking at the project going, man, can I run this? Because it looks like it's very specifically built to run on Azure. So I don't know, I'll maybe give a note next month as I take a more look at it.
Yeah, maybe there's something here on Ash Prasad's blog post that addresses that, And if not, I mean, it would be a good question to answer on the comments on this blog post, at the very least. Okay, so we are done here for now with the blogs of the month. I'd like to segue into Mark Harle. Mark, again, very good having you around. Mark is the founder. If I may introduce you like that, Mark, let me know if I do a good job there or not. But is the founder of OptEngage, which is an intranet solution built with DNN. And I invited Mark here because he presented the tool to me during the DNN Summit last February, and also on a one-on-one conversation that we had just a few weeks ago. I found the tool very interesting, very well put together, and I said, hey Mark, let's have a a chat about that during our next DNN monthly chat. And that's it. So welcome, Mark.
All right, perfect. And thanks for the introduction, and I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Mark, let's start with the basics here. What and I have OptEngage in front of me. I have the website open in front of me. So what is OptEngage? What is that?
So OptEngage is a solution for organizations that are looking to enable a digital workplace. Okay, that's, the buzzword today is digital workplace, engaged workers, all of that stuff. Years ago, that used to be an intranet, right? Companies would stand up an intranet to essentially push down content, employee handbooks, calendars, things like that. Useful, but historically didn't necessarily get the traction and the results that companies were looking for. And so as the world progressed and people became more used to doing things, consumer-related things on the internet and having apps for everything, the whole notion of a digital workplace where everything is online and digitized and very minimal manual activities became really, really interesting. And companies are very interested in this. It's a big deal. It's a tough project. It takes a lot of time. It's not a single app or a single deliverable, but more of a journey or a roadmap to get to where you want to get to. So OptEngage is an approach to address that, focusing on organizing all of an organization's content and knowledge and digitizing it. So think of it in the simplest way as a digital model or a digital representation of an organization that knows everything about it, who's employed there, what you do, what software apps you use, what tools you have to train people, the projects that are underway, your KPIs, how you manage and how you monitor the success of the organization. That's all within the scope of OptEngage to start a company down the road to a true digital workplace.
Awesome.
So that's...
Got it. Okay, great. So now I've learned that intranet is not a cool term anymore. It's an outdated kind of term. That's fine. Great. It's one lesson learned today. Mark, let me ask you this: what puts you in a good position to create an intranet solution? I mean, based on your past experiences. I mean, how you came about that and why you put that together?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I hope you learned more today than we don't like the term intranet anymore. Hopefully that'll just be one thing you learned. So I'm really, really interested in how organizations use their information and manage their knowledge and how people in the organization use it to kind of be successful and allow the company to be successful. I've been involved in doing things like this for a very long time. The first platform that I put together that's similar to this was probably in 1990, when really before there was any real internet, World Wide Web per se. But companies still needed things like this. So we started actually with the Windows Help Engine. And, some of you may be familiar with that. But back years ago, that was a pretty cool way to create hypertext. Not online. It's all sitting on your hard drive, but it was a pretty cool tool for doing things like that. So started that. Literally 1990, and then over the years continued to evolve that into the newer technology, certainly online. So what that's done, it's given me a pretty good understanding of what solutions work and how employees and organizations need to access and manage this type of information. And so that's kind of the background that led to this solution.
Got it, got it. So instead of us, talking extensively about the tool, let's show the tool. What do you think about sharing your screen, and can I give you presenter access?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that now. Unfortunately, the windmill of Scott will go away, but we can live without it for now.
Okay.
Gone with the wind.
Awesome, I can see your screen, Mark.
Oh, okay, let me put this out of the way.
I can also see that you have a few icons in your desktop.
Okay, Ken, all right, are you seeing me now? Are you
Yes.
seeing? Okay, so right off the bat, you guys can recognize this as a DNN login form just because of the kind of crappy look to it. But what I'm going to show you here is a demo application of this, and it's a sample solution for a private school called the Larson School, just a fictitious organization. But let me make sure, are all of you seeing my laptop here and a guy sitting at a desk, refer a friend, score $150?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. So, excuse me. Okay, so this is the homepage of the OptEngage for this organization. Just briefly walking through here, the idea, like any homepage, the idea is to aggregate all of the relevant information. So here we're starting out with the key performance indicators, which, by the way, is an item that, in my opinion, organizations really like to highlight and do a better job of. So this is really just kind of woven into this. So, for
Mark,
example, here we're yes.
Let just ask you to do one thing as you go along, for our own curiosity and my own curiosity. As you demonstrate, as you show the features, you may want to just briefly highlight which module are you using behind the scenes to build that feature. Again, you don't need to go in depth, but just mention which module you have used for putting that together, okay?
Sure. Okay. So here is the KPI highlights on the homepage. I'll just click into one of these, the Net Promoter Score. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the Net Promoter Score, but in this context, we're using it as a way for this organization uses how well their parents of the students react to what the school, to the school. So Anderson, to your point, this is now drilling into primarily some DNN Sharp modules. As you would imagine, KPIs is very data intensive. So a lot of database activity here, and then a visualizer here of the results. So so the app then comes with a number of pre-built KPIs that a client can select, and obviously then add their own whatever additional KPIs they use. Scrolling a little bit further into kind of the company updates. So here, just a panel that shows the latest company news and blogs, which we're using the Ben Korean news article module for that. Company chatter being kind of the mini blogging. Obviously, that's just simply using the DNN journal module. Search is very important. I'm not going to spend much time on that, but having a good search engine is absolutely critical. Project dashboard.
Mark,
Yes.
just a quick question
Yes.
about search. Is search using any third-party module? Because I know that DNN Sharp has a very good search solution. Is it using anything specific?
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yes, we're using the DNN Sharp Search Boost module,
Okay.
not the core DNN search.
Got it. Thank you.
Most companies spend a lot of time and money on their projects, and quite often they don't really have the visibility that they need. So what we include in the platform essentially is a project app where you can come in and create the projects. If you use a tool, a project management tool like Basecamp or Wrike or something like that, you can integrate into that with the link. And but a lot of clients, a lot of organizations don't do that, and they just manage their projects through spreadsheets and email. So we'll come along and give an interface here, tabbed interface that summarizes what the project is. Feeds. We'll talk a little bit more about feeds as we go along here, but the whole platform uses very targeted feeds to highlight the chronology or the history of a particular topic. So in this case, it's just highlighting all of the updates and things that have happened to this particular project. In this case, a technology evaluation for the admin or admissions department. The team members, the discussions. By the way, for discussions, we're using the active module, no, active forums, the old, Will Morgan Wetzel thing there. The document repository, any documents that relate to this project, and followers. Since this is an organization, we treated followers more departmentally than individuals. So this particular project is being followed by 3 departments: admissions, IT, and finance.
What's the document management module you're using? Is that also DNN Sharp stuff?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Mark, I mentioned that to you before, when we were 101 the other day, but I have to really say that the look and feel of what you're demoing is very consistent. I really like the fact that you put together something with the look and feel very consistent throughout. And sometimes we see things done in DNN that, sometimes they may look a little bit disjointed, like a bit of a Frankenstein. And what you put together here is very seamless. I really admire that from the solution. But anyway, just wanted to make a side note here.
Yes, no, thank you. I'm glad to hear that, because that I think is really, really important, by the way. So I'm glad you recognize that. Next up, then, on the just on the homepage is the ability to highlight new hires. Who's recently been hired. So in this case, it's just configured. And by the way, the whole point here is there's absolutely no IT involvement in any of this. So this one, for example, behind the scenes, there's some admin pages where you can log in and essentially say, how many days after hire do you want a person to appear in this new coworkers page? And so this one happens to be set up for 30 days. So anybody hired within the last 30 days is going to have a little tile here, which then clicks through to their profile page. I'll spend a minute on the profile page, which to Anderson's point, it looks generally like the other pages with tabs, etc. But here we're just restyling essentially the DNN profile functionality. So, you know, your contact information, your bio, obviously your headshot over here. Apparently Chuck hasn't updated his bio yet. My rep. Now, we're going to spend more time talking about this, but this is kind of a real important part of this platform. The whole idea with one of the deliverables here is the ability to always know who's doing what on the platform specifically. So for this particular person, or actually generally, we track utilization in two ways. Engagement, meaning how involved and how much activity does this user perform on the platform. And Chuck has a score of 459, which in and of itself doesn't mean a lot, but what matters is the ranking. So he's at the 75th percentile in ranking for use of the system. And then the other component to track is influence, meaning to what extent does the content and this user's involvement on the system impact or influence the behavior of other individuals in the organization. And his ranking is relatively low in terms of influence, and that's probably related to the fact that he's only been with the company for a while. So he's really been spending more time as a visitor and looking at things as opposed to contributing. So over time, as he gets more involved with participating in the posts and the discussions and asking questions and answering questions, we'll see his ranking as an influencer, I'm sure, start to go up. But the point is, these items, they, you know, the engagement and influence are just wired into it from the ground up. So it's always there, and a really, really useful management tool. So, okay, just a couple other things here. I know we don't have a lot more time. I want to go a little bit further into the engagement and influence, and I'm clicking on a link here called Stats. And this is a view of the organization in terms of who the top engagers are and who the top influencers are. So our friend Chuck Donaldson down here, he has a score of 60, if you remember that, and he's you know, at essentially the 17% level. Same for engagers. And then all of the raw data is available here, you know, if a person wants to download that and do more analysis on it. I've just got one more item I want to illustrate here, and then we'll stop and give it back to Anderson. But one of the things that is really important as we move to a digital workplace is to essentially give individuals a comprehensive listing of what they need to do to catch up, any assignments, etc., any new items that they need to worry about. So that goes into my dashboard. And this is a dynamic page that is constantly dynamically refreshed that shows this individual, in this case, Anita Walters, everything that she needs to do. So I open up my company news. I have 0 items here, so I'm all cut up. There's no unread news or blogs. Department feed. Anita sees here that she has one item in her department feed. Chuck Donaldson posted a forum topic, kiosk at football games. So she will want to check that out. Clicks on that, takes her to the discussion post that Chuck made. She reads that, flips back here. Let me refresh, and now that task is going to go to 0. Hit that. Try that again. Okay. So yeah. So she has no department feeds. She does have one task. Daniel Fredo, there's forms all over the place here that are linked to departments and projects and things like this. And so in this case, I won't bother to look at that, but this Daniel Fredo at one point submitted an inquiry that the platform knew to refer to Anita for a response, which she hasn't responded to yet. She's following these, those are the project teams she's on. She's on 2 workspaces, admissions department and varsity team, tennis team. Okay, so that's kind of a quick walkthrough. So Addison, I know we were thinking about 10 minutes on this. I may have gone over a little bit, I apologize, but that's essentially a quick overview of the platform.
That's really great, Mark. And again, thank you very much. I reiterate the fact that the look and feel is very consistent, and this really looks great. I have a few questions, a few points here. Out of curiosity, you are using a few third-party modules there, and you mentioned some of the DNN Sharp ones. Because you are redeploying the solution to multiple clients, what kind of license do you have to be able to do that with third-party modules like DNN Sharp?
Well, the answer to that, the answer may differ a little bit based on who the module vendor is. And it also depends on whether it's being deployed, so we've really got 2 deployment options for the solution. One is cloud hosting, and the other is on-premise. If it's cloud hosted, then there's a single domain for that controls the module licensing, and there's no redistribution. If it's on-premise, then the actual licensing will differ from one vendor to another. DNN Sharp, for example, has what they call their enterprise license that is what supports that. And once again, other module providers may have different ones. We try to focus on open source modules as opposed to vendor produced or supported ones. So Bentrian, for example, is now totally open source, and so there's no distribution issues with those.
Got it. You mentioned there are 2 options, cloud and on-premise. Do you want to, I'll leave it up to you if you don't want to mention that or discuss that at this point, but do you want to talk about cost in general, pricing, or whoever is curious should go to the website?
Yeah, absolutely. So the pricing on this is, let's talk a little bit about the business aspects behind it. We're really more interested in the cloud version, primarily because I think it makes more sense for most potential users of this. We're targeting small to mid-sized businesses with the whole thinking that companies like that, smaller companies, really should be able to access and have available to them similar solutions as what Fortune 100 type companies spend 6 and 7 figures for. So if we're dealing with a cloud solution, it's a subscription per employee per month, generally in the area of $4 to $8 per employee per month. which is, if you look at other competing solutions here, that's very, very competitive. And we're able to do that because of the way it's put together and things like that.
Got it.
And what we're trying, yeah, go ahead.
No. You're finished there. Sorry. Carry on.
So let's talk a moment about go-to-market. So, this is a very new solution, and the go-to-market strategy is pretty straightforward. I'm wanting to work with partners primarily. I'm not planning on marketing this directly to organizations. But what I am trying to do is stand up partner relationships with companies that, for example, DNN integrators or agencies that already know DNN, but more importantly, have client relationships and clients who might benefit from this. Then we'll work with those agencies and integrators on a partner basis and a revenue sharing basis to take this to market. So really the main, so I'm really interested in getting this in front of other DNN organizations and start to engage with them on a partner relationship.
Awesome. Mark, I asked this question before to you again, but feel free. I mean, whether you want to address that or not. But do you think that, in your opinion, is this more or less a competitor of Evoke, of what DNN Evoke Engage offers there? What's your take on that?
Well, I'm not necessarily looking at it like that, but I could see why you might. So what I'm trying to position this as is essentially a subscription for a particular need, which in this case is a pathway to a digital workplace. And to a large extent, yeah, I think that's probably what Evoke Engage tries to do, but they do other things. They support public sites and app development and things like that. So, so really focusing more on a particular solution, really for medium-sized organizations.
Awesome. Scott, I'd like to get your 2 cents there. You have a lot of experience with Evoke, and I think that in particular Evoke Engage as well. What do you think so far of what you've seen here from OptEngage?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Evoking, I'm less using Evoke Engage as much, just because I don't know. I think what Mark's doing is targeting this tool for the specific purpose. And if you were to try to use Evoke Engage too, you still have to do quite a bit of customization to make it look like that and to make it work like that and the flow like that. So I like how everything's like a click away. It's just your like you said, the user profile with the tasks, your kind of a workflow queue. And yeah, I mean, even with Evoke Engage, I mean, there's just a series of modules that are all closed source, and if they don't do exactly what you want, you're still going to have to customize. So I think it does make sense building this on, more of a kind of a platform thing, more of a customized platform thing than it does on, the professional products. Not to say we've done a lot of stuff with Evoke Content. Because Evoke Content and Engage both have the structured content tools, which are nice. But again, you could get by with using Ventrian or some other things and customizing that as well. So yeah, I think it's a great approach. And more and more, what we're finding is and this isn't just DNN, with on demand and, it's other CMSs and other offerings out there. These SaaS offerings, I think, are more palatable for companies than they were before. It used to be companies were like, it was almost like more companies were like, no, it's got to be on premise. We have to control everything. And now we're finding it's totally the other way around. It's like, you manage everything. We don't have the IT staff. We don't want to deal with it. So, in the case of what Mark's offering, right, your cloud-based offering is you manage everything. It's just, and all you guys got to do is log in. You don't have to do anything else. And we're seeing a much more of a lean toward that with companies, just because it's like they want to lean out all their IT people and then outsource it all and have everything managed and dealt with by the companies or services that specialize.
Awesome. Any comments there, Mark?
I totally agree with that, and that's absolutely the concept behind it. And really, Scott brought up really two main things there. One is that the interest in going to cloud, and second, the earlier point that companies are less interested in buying a tool as they are in paying for a solution. And so essentially what you get with Evoke, or fill in the CMS name, you get a development tool, and you have to start with a typical IT project: business requirements, functional requirements, development. Well, that's the value that we're trying to bring to this is hell with all that. You don't have time or money to do that, and so we'll take that off the plate. So not only do you have a product out of the box, so you don't have to do any work there other than understand your content, et cetera, and also no IT work in terms of management, hosting, et cetera, no server to build, et cetera. So really, it's kind of like the whole movement towards consumer apps. That's kind of the model that people are getting used to. And so, I totally agree with Scott that companies are moving in that direction as well. So this is hopefully a solution that will be of interest.
Awesome, Mark. Awesome. Again, thank you very much for the demo, and again, such a great tool that you put together there. How people should reach out to you? I mean, is that from optengage.com?
Yes.
Is that email? Is that the best way to reach out
Yes.
and get in touch?
Yep, absolutely. We'd love to hear from people.
Awesome. So again, I wish you all the luck in pushing the product forward, and again, I'll be exposing my clients, as I mentioned to you before, to the solution, and I'm sure that you're gonna find people interested in the solution after they watch a demo like that, and I'm sure that you're gonna be talking a lot more about the product over the next few weeks and months. So is it ready to be used? I mean, if I want to buy it now, can I buy it?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to quickly mention that there are a few language-specific forums that have been set up by DNN Corp on the dnnsoftware.com/forums of a lot of foreign language-specific forums, not being used too much, as you can see here by the interactions, but hey, they are there, and if you want to discuss DNN in your own language, you may opt to go to the forum, the language-specific forums there. Want to jump a little bit towards videos, webinars, recordings, a few things here. The Technology Advisory Group, as always, meeting every week, so there are 3 recordings of that group in the past few weeks, in the past, during August. So if you are inclined, if you are a developer inclined to get to know more of what's going on technology-wise on DNN, you can definitely check out those meetings. Also, another video out there, another meeting out there that happened a few weeks, actually, I think that 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. It's the SoFried meeting, where David Poindexter, he spoke about web components and potentially, using that in DNN as well. So a very interesting talk. If you are tired of the soup of JavaScript frameworks out there. You may want to check that. Very interesting way to put together pure HTML components using just native browser supported approach. Very interesting one. I've watched this from start to finish online, real time there with them during SoFried. The other one here that I wanted to mention is the one that was just about a month ago from my friend Mike Smeltzer. Mike presented to the TADUG user group, and he was talking about workflows in DNN. Very good talk. We had a few technical glitches there, but we got through it finally. And so that was one. The next TADUG, which will be happening on September the 5th, will be about language package management on dnnconnect.org, finding, editing, and adding module language package to your DNN website, and that will be done by Ernst Peter Taminga. He is a specialist in language when it comes to DNN, and he knows all the ins and outs on how to put a multi-language site together and translate resources. So again, I'm looking forward to have Ernst Peter presenting to the TADUG user group meeting on September the 5th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yep. Let me jump here. Scott, now that you came back, I was thinking about skipping this point here, this topic, but now that you're back, I want to do it. Every month I try to come up with a question, and maybe it's to choose, the fake module or the fake, approach or the correct one. This time around, I want to piggyback on a research that, and let's see, he's gone, that Daniel Valadas put together about the usage. So again, Scott, you should raise your arms. You should not be touching your keyboard anymore at this point. Now, from both of you, Mark and Scott, and again, the guys that are there without showing their face, Jeremy, Bill, if you want to join us as well, by all means, you are more than welcome. I'd like to ask you, which one of those 5 modules do you think is according to this research done, this survey done by Daniel, which one of those 5 modules is the most popular core module, the most used core module in the DNN, amongst the DNN core
I missed the setup because when I rejoined, what are the 5 modules again?
I'm about to mention.
Which one of these 5? Okay, so
yes.
Which one's the most popular in terms of downloads and usage?
In terms of, okay, this question that Daniel put together was, which one of those modules I think that you have been using lately? So he got about 70 answers, and again, I'm just curious to see which one from the 5 that I'm gonna mention right now is the most popular module, as you see, from your understanding. I'm gonna start with forms and lists. The forms and list module that Clint Patterson he loves to death. That you can put a form together, that you can put a list together. So forms and list, events module, a module that you can, I think that's the one that has a calendar that you can post events and people can register to events as well. So that's the events module. The blog module, that I think it's supported by Peter Donker. The gallery module, which is a media module that you can upload images, and the feedback module, which is a very simple forms module. Actually, I've used the feedback module quite a lot with a few changes to it. So again, forms and list, events, blog, gallery, or the feedback module. Mark, Scott, I'll give you a second there. I don't have the
Jeopardy music.
The Jeopardy music anymore. I forgot to put it here in my links. But hey, a minute for you guys. Which one, Scott? Which one of those 5?
I'm gonna say events.
Events, okay. So Mark, which module do you think that's the most popular out there amongst the core modules of DNN?
Yeah, I would go with blog.
Blog. Okay. Good. Good choice. Again, to be honest, they might be it. However, from the research, from the survey that Daniel put together, the forms and list, the form and list module is the one that is the most popular one. That is the one that people use the most. To be honest, I've never used that module. I mean, I've never used it too much. I don't even recall last time that I've used that. But who knows? It's based on this small sample of people. Who knows if it's the real one? But again, that's what the results are showing on Daniel's research. Okay?
It might be downloaded and not necessarily kept in use.
That's true. That's true. Maybe it's the one that people download most, they install, they say, hey, you know what? It's not doing what I think it's supposed to do. So, yeah, I get it. Good one, Jeremy. Okay. Okay. So that was our quick quiz here. Wanted to follow up by just bringing DNN Summit to your attention from February 19th to February 23rd, 2019. Things are starting to heat up. And I just want to mention that the organizing team are right now looking for speakers. According to them, I'm just reading from their post there, all session types are welcomed. They can be technical in nature, marketing, SEO, content, or business focused too. We hope to have a well-rounded conference, and we need sessions of all types in order to meet the demand of attendees. If you are submitting a technical presentation, it may be helpful for you to know our general areas of interest. And here are they: .NET Core, client-side, JavaScript, Angular, React, etc., performance, security, administration, and again, those are specifically around DNN. So, looking for speakers at this point. I don't know of a deadline for submissions to be done, but I know that it's open right now. So again, if you are a previous speaker, a new speaker that wants to talk about your topic, Mark, to be quite honest, I would urge you to have potentially a presentation there about Intranets. You know, sorry, the name. If I don't use Internet, what should I do? What should I use instead?
Intranet is fine.
Okay.
Internet.
Okay.
That's understood.
So
I thought you
again,
said digital workspace, right?
digital works. Wow, it's so trendy.
Yeah.
So trendy. So if you want, Mark, you were there in the previous DNN Summit. If you submit one about digital workspaces, the new Intranet, you know. Whew.
No, I absolutely am. I'm planning to do that.
Awesome. Okay, great. So come towards the end here, guys. Just want to briefly mention about the last tips that I have been putting together. How to create a splash page in DNN. You know, in this day and age, people do still use splash pages. It sounds so intranet era, no? But yes, there is a splash page feature in DNN, and I'm exploring this a little bit here. And the other tip that I put together is about securing passwords on DNN, using hashed passwords versus encrypted passwords. You know, again, a good one that we have to work on for a client of ours a few days ago. Guys, that's really it. I usually wrap things up here asking what is exciting, what is new in your world, and I'm gonna ask that, Scott, what is new, what is exciting there for you, technology wise, hybrid cards wise, I mean, whatever, you know, all game.
I don't know, nothing much. Sorry. Not since last month. Oh, okay. I've been just busy. That's all. Yeah. I need to take a step back. I need to have a sabbatical or something so I can discover new and exciting things.
Let me tell you, Scott, very depressing answer, okay? Very depressing.
I'm sorry.
Mark, I know you're all excited about OptEngage. Anything else beyond OptEngage outside of that realm?
Well, I was kind of hoping Scott would pick up his Stratocaster there and play a little bit.
Okay. No problem. Okay, so excitement enough for Mark with OptEngage. I think it's enough of excitement. From my side here, just very excited to be able to help some people in the DNN space lately with yet another conversion of Evoke to the DNN platform. Evoke Azure to DNN platform. Again, I got really caught up in a few problems this past week, but we got over them. And we got that successfully done, that move from Evoke Azure to DNN platform. Again, that was very exciting. I really, really liked when we were able to fix the problems that were happening there. I'm happy with very little, guys. So I'm very low. my happiness threshold is very low. Let's put it this way. Jeremy, Bill, I will invite you guys if you want to mention what is new, what is exciting for you guys. I mean, I'll give you a second here to voice. If you don't, that's fine. That's okay.
Well, I'll just pick up on my chat thread. I'm very excited on figuring a path out of PackFlash into something. And I just, has anybody had to do that?
Scott, this was just for you, Scott.
Yeah, I know that PackFlash has sort of been sunsetted, and we're just kind of doing maintenance releases. Well, I'll have to check into it because I know we have some clients that are upgrading 9.2, and we are trying to support that. So there may be some kind of maintenance release that comes out that does support 9.2 or 9.2.1. But other than that, I think I was mentioning, and of course I dropped off and came back on, so I don't remember I don't see the chat history, but it depends on what you're using. I mean, I think we heard some people have been happy with Mandeep's live article. People have been happy with Ventrian's stuff. People have been happy with Easy DNN News. Of course, we've been using a lot of structured content, which is Evoke. So yeah, there's a lot, and Too Sexy Content, right? That's another one that could, it's a little more involved, but it's Too Sexy Content's almost like it's almost like Form and List is like a really, really, really old precursor to Too Sexy Content.
We looked into that one, and I mean, we use PackFlash extensively. They've even extended it with some custom modules where it have the displays that we needed to, but overall, generally speaking, the template engine is more than adequate to do anything we've needed it to do. But like I said, extensively, and the Too Sexy, whatever that one, that wasn't going to be a viable option for us.
Mm-hmm.
Easy DNN really looks like the best choice that we're about to embark on, and we have many clients. So I appreciate the fact that there might be some maintenance releases. We really weren't expecting any more. We're happy to get the ones that we have since it was sunsetted.
Well, yeah, keep in mind, I mean, we still have clients, right, from Blue Bolt clients that we've used PackFlash products on, and still a lot of them are still using it. So it's not like we can just go, you're on your own, because I mean, they're our clients, right? We have to still support them. So, send me an email offline if you guys want any more information. I can kind of talk to some people within Blue Bolt and see and figure out what's going on. I've sometimes I lose touch for a little while of what's happening with some of those clients, but yeah, let me know and I can give you the inside scoop.
I've had some interaction with support. One of the early attempts at trying 9.2 with PackFlash and found that the deprecated functions have hit it fatally.
That doesn't surprise me. I send an email inside of our organization to say, 9.2 is deprecating 500, not deprecating, they're actually removing 500 deprecated functions or methods from the core. And that's going to be, I'm like, there's no way we're not going to have to make some kind of change to support that.
Yes,
Bill,
for sure.
Just want to mention that.
Input.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Bill. Go ahead.
No, I was done. Go right ahead.
Okay, so just to reiterate what Scott said, that in terms of options to replace potentially, we've been successful in a few occasions with Easy DNN News, so it was a good alternative. That's just our case here, the situations that we came through. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks for that as well.
Perfect. Guys, again, thank you very much. An hour and 25 minutes here in. Woohoo! That's always good. But again, Mark, I love the demo. I love the presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time. Scott, thank you very much for being here. Daniel as well. Daniel, we had to drop earlier. That's great, but great to have you here. Jeremy, Bill, thank you for dropping by. That's it, guys. Anything else? Anything else, Mark? Anything else, Scott?
No.
All good?
Thank
May
you.
we meet again at the end of September. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and we talk again in about a month. Bye.